You are so wonderful to me. You are so wonderful to me. You're everything that I hope for. You're everything that I need. You are so wonderful to me.
Welcome, first-time listeners and returners, to the Sports Deli, where everyone deserves a seat at the table. And with that being said, we're so honored to welcome on this 25th day of National Blueberry, Peach, and Hot Dog Month, the pride of Minnetonka, Minnesota, and Hopkins High School, former professional women's basketball player, and Minnesota Golden Gopher, our 31st professional women's basketball player or coach, Leslie Knight. She was born the same day as Yogi Berra, Tony Hawk, Sweet Lou Whitaker, Mike Weir, and Jim Furyk, and the same year as the only two current WNBA players born in 1986, the Chicago Sky's Hall of Famer, Candace Parker, and the recent winner of the WNBA's All-Star three-point contest for the fourth time, Allie Quigley. She had an amazing basketball career overseas, and today you will hear the rest of the story. Shout out to Barb Smith, an amazing retired D1 coach, a mutual friend of ours who put us together and connected us. Leslie hosts an amazing podcast called Another Season in the Books, where she recently had Carly Samuelson, which you can find on all audio platforms. And yes, she is a sister of Olympian and current WNBA player Katie Lou Samuelson. You can find her on LinkedIn and on Instagram and Twitter at Leslie F. Knight. Knight is with a K. And Leslie, wow. Can't wait to hear about the rest of the story today. And welcome to the Sports Deli podcast, where everyone deserves a seat at the table, especially women who are about to give birth and who played professional basketball for 2 decades. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. It's an honor because I've seen the other women and just sports icons that you've had on your podcast, and I feel absolutely honored to be included. So thank you very much for the invitation.
Yeah, I mean, truth be told, there's amazing women's basketball players that played their entire careers overseas that, a lot of us don't know about, that played their college ball in the States in a Power 5 conference like you did in the Big Ten at Minnesota. But I always like to hear about people's upbringing, especially women, because, women are still marginalized and, the resources still aren't the same, let alone back when you played in college. And so I'm curious to know how it was growing up in Minnesota, which, we all know at this point was the site of, what happened a couple of years ago with George when he was unalived. And, every state's a little bit different, but we're living in some different times, and you're overseas right now. So you have a few different perspectives on things. So tell us what your childhood was like as a young girl.
My childhood I loved it, to be honest. I have 2 older brothers, Trevor and Corey, and Trevor's about 6 years older. Corey's 4 years older. So I was surrounded by sports from a very young age, brought to all the summer baseball games, all the winter basketball games. And in our neighborhood, because my brothers were older, my parents worked full time. We spent a lot of time at home running around the yard, playing basketball in the driveway, going down to the ballpark. We had a ballpark right down the street from our house, and just played sports my whole youth, whether it was soccer, baseball, then fast pitch, basketball. I enjoyed track and field, really just about anything. And I think I really benefited from having 2 older brothers as far as showing me the ropes and being able to just unknowingly soak it all in through osmosis, really, I think.
Yeah, interesting. Shout out to T Money and C Money, older brothers of Leslie. That's phenomenal.
There was a lot of contact in the driveway when we were playing.
Did you guys used to shovel the driveway in the winter before you went out and played? Because I know that's what I did in Detroit.
Man, we have pictures of us, and we've got like our hats on, we've got gloves on, and lots of shoveling of the driveway. And then we had a pond down the street, and we would go and shovel that off and skate, during the winter. So it was just, it was great. Looking back, I feel really blessed as far as the coaches that I had, because when I entered the 7th grade, they allowed me to play up on JV and varsity.
Mhm.
And I had a great coach that first year. His name was Greg Heineke. And then after that first year, they decided to change coaches. And maybe you've heard his name before, but his name is Brian Cosgriff, and he coached Paige Beckers
Oh, right.
while she was at Hopkins. And he just retired from coaching a couple years ago, and now actually he's back at it. He's going to be the head coach at Mennetonka, which is our big rival in the conference.
Amazing.
But his first year at the helm of the women's program was my 8th grade year. So I was with Cause 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Wow.
And he is just a basketball genius. And he went to all the camps when he was younger. You know, he learned
Wow.
from guys like John Wooden, and he would go to all these camps and just soak it all in. He's a basketball junkie. And so looking back at my my basketball education, we could say, I feel very blessed because it was fundamental. He taught me so much in those 5 years that I was under his instruction.
Oh, what a difference that makes going forward. You know, I didn't have a good high school experience either. I mean, I got cut 4 times between high school and college, but my high school varsity coach did everything but empower his players. And, you know, as a professional basketball skills trainer, I feel like I have a good combination of the old school, you know, which on the women's side, there's still traditional post players. And I love teaching both. And, you know, I can be conservative. I can teach simplicity and execution, but I can also teach surprise and change. And so I think you need a combination of both. I'm very particular about nuance and footwork, whether you're playing with your back to the basket or facing the basket. And so looking back on it, what do you see it was a big reason, you know, during your time as an evolving basketball player and as a leader that allowed you to have success?
So when I was going through high school, I was one of the tallest players at 6 feet. And what was best for our team was for me to play in the post.
Right.
And you talk about Candace Parker being born in 1986 as well. And she's capable of doing a little bit of everything. And she's like 6'4" or taller. And so I remember seeing her in an AAU tournament. We were in the elevator together. And I remember just looking at her and being like, wow, she really is tall. You know?
Well, she's evolved. She wasn't always that kind of player.
Right. And I think that me, for some reason, maybe it's because of my build, or I don't know. I don't want to say I'm thick because some people would call me thin, but nobody ever put me out on the perimeter. And I didn't really have a 3-point shot all through high school and all through college. I maybe shot 3 threes my whole college career, maybe. And so when I was growing up, what did I crave? I loved running the floor, you know, just fast break layups, get out and go. I could do that. But I would say I worked more on my post moves back to the basket.
Yeah.
And I did not necessarily acquire a toolbox full of, you know, all these cool footwork, step back, Euro step, things that now, as I'm 36 years old and I've been playing in Europe for the past 14 years, I see all those things. I'm like, man, why didn't I ever get into that? You know, like I can try to practice them, but it's one thing doing it in practice and it's another thing feeling confident enough to do it in the game. But I feel like mostly I was very fundamental. What I craved was working on the post moves. I've always had a good base as far as endurance, and I knew that I could outrun whoever was guarding me. So I would get a lot of easy buckets from that.
I love it. So you had success out of high school. Were you seriously considering anybody else, or was it a foregone conclusion that you were going to go to Minnesota?
Yeah, I had offers from other schools. I made visits to Iowa State, where Bill Fennelly, you know, has been coaching for years and years.
What a great
I went
coach.
to Colorado, where who was the head coach at the time? Tanya Have was an assistant, and I want to say Seal Berry was a head coach. Colorado, Iowa, and after taking just 2 of them, I was exhausted. And I just thought, wow, 3 more weekends of this. And after visiting Minnesota, I felt like I just knew, but
Wow.
it wasn't always like I knew I was going to Minnesota just because
Hmm.
they were a hometown team. No, because I don't know, going to another state, going to another school farther away didn't scare me at all. And I really loved Colorado. I mean, it's beautiful out there, absolutely beautiful. Iowa State was a big, when I called Bill and I told him, Bill, I'm really sorry, but I don't think I'm going to take my official visit. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste, the school's money. He was not very happy with that phone call, because I understand that. They want to get you on campus, they want to show you what
Right.
they have to offer.
Yeah.
But and at the end of the day, I just ended up deciding to go to Minnesota. And looking back, my first 2 years were really, really difficult, really hard. But then my last 2 years were great, and I wouldn't change it for anything.
Difficult in terms of you had to sit behind veterans.
Well, my senior year of high school was when they went to the Final Four with Lindsay Whalen playing point guard, Janelle
Right.
McCarville at the post, and so I was really excited to go to the University of Minnesota. I thought, wow, I'm going to a top 4 team, in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
And I got there my freshman year, and I was kind of what you call a tweener.
Yeah.
So at 6 feet tall, I was, not as big as Janelle McCarville, and I was not as quick as a Shannon Schoenrock or a Shannon Bolden. And I had played post my whole
Right.
career. So how in the world was I supposed to get rebounds and bang when the women I was playing against were 20, 30 pounds heavier and several inches taller? And then the guards, I had never played guard.
Right.
I had never shot the three. I had never handled the ball against Division I defense.
Right.
So my first 2 years, I actually ended up playing like a total of 36 or 37 minutes total in 2 years. And I was
Wow.
Miss Minnesota basketball coming out of high school, and
Right.
everybody was really excited to watch and see what Leslie Knight was going to do at the U. And I literally sat the bench for 2 full years.
Man,
was
you
really
wouldn't have done
hard.
that now. You'd have been in that transfer portal quick as shit. You'd have been long gone. There's
Yeah,
no
I don't
way anyone's
know.
waiting 2 years. Well, you maybe, but I'm just saying, like the percentages now, if someone's sitting on the bench and they were all state and the player of the, there's no way. So that's changed for sure. Good
Yeah,
kudos
I
to
don't
you.
know. My mentality is a little different. I feel like maybe I'm too loyal, or I'm too, once I start something, I want to finish it.
Yeah.
And I remember my freshman year, we had an athlete class where all the athletes, we participated in this big lecture, and we had a speaker come in one day, this guy, and he talked about just like, you never know what's going to happen and stay the course and this and that. And after 2 years of not playing, I thought to myself, I don't know. And then all of a sudden, after my sophomore year, we had 6 players graduate and 5 players transfer.
Wow.
So we had 11 players just gone. And so my junior year, my coach had no other choice but to start me.
Doesn't matter how you get there, right? I've been in that situation too, as the third, fourth choice, whatever. Let's go.
Yep. So
Wow.
luckily, I had been preparing for 2 years, and I got my chance, and I ran with it. And I had a great junior year and an even better senior year. And that's when our friend in common, Barb Smith, towards the end of my senior year, said, "Les, would you be interested in playing overseas?" And I looked at her like, that's an option? Because I mean, we're talking 2008.
Right.
I wasn't familiar with overseas. I didn't have Instagram. I didn't, it just was this thing I didn't know anything about. And so I said, sure, why not? She hooked me up with an agent, and
Wow.
I've been playing for the last 14 years overseas.
Oh man, that's amazing. Who's Minnesota's biggest rival?
In college?
Yeah.
Good question. I mean, Wisconsin is always a
Wisconsin.
big game, or it was when I was in school. But then you've got Iowa, that's a big game. I felt like they were all really big games, but probably Wisconsin just because it's the border battle. But
Yeah,
Iowa always had really good teams too, and they still do. So
you and I have something in common. You guys are the Gophers, Golden Gophers.
yeah.
And I went to Goucher College, and we're the Gophers, the only two schools in the United States that have either Gophers or Golden Gophers in the name of it. So go
No
figure that out.
way.
Swear to God. And I played on the first team in the history of the school.
Well, I wonder what your mascot looks like then. Does it look really similar to Goldie Gopher?
It's got like a tooth overhanging the bottom.
Yeah.
It looks like a real gopher, like for real, for real. It's
Huh.
hilarious. Yeah. But different colors, blue and gold. You guys are, what are you guys, brown? Brown and
Maroon and gold.
maroon and gold. Yes.
Yep.
So I remember going to my first Michigan football game for the Little Brown Jug.
Okay.
So that's Minnesota and Michigan playing the annual football game every year for the Little Brown Jug. And how are women treated in the athletic department compared to the men back then?
Back then, to be honest, I don't think I really thought about it very much because we had great resources at the University of Minnesota. And
Yeah.
we both, the men's team and the women's team, we both got to practice in Williams Arena. I think the men practiced in the mornings, we practiced in the afternoons. The weightlifting facilities were great. So I never felt like I was less than when it came to the men's program. And because the women had gone to the Final Four my senior year of high school,
Right.
I mean, we had a lot of fans coming to the games, especially when Janelle McCarville was there. I mean, the Williams Arena would fill up with
That's
10,000, 13,000 fans.
Wow.
So I, to be honest, thinking about the differences between men and women, I really didn't think about it that much in college. I've thought about it more as a professional. And then obviously what we saw 2 years ago with the NCAA tournament and the differences in the weight room facilities, that really got me, got my blood boiling.
Idiots.
Yeah.
Didn't have a woman at the seat of that table.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened. There's always so much that goes on that we don't know, but I just thought, oof, I was not a fan.
Yeah, because the men's and women's tournament are run together instead of separately. So if you had a separate sort of committee, then that probably wouldn't have happened. But, when I look at these things, whether it's systemic racism or inequality, anything short of someone being unalived, it's an opportunity for the conversation to continue. So in some ways, I'm glad that you still have this ignorance or lack of education or, mistakes that happen so we can keep talking about it. So overseas, so Barb helps you get in touch with an agent and you go overseas. So were you homesick your first year?
Not too bad.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I was really excited going home for Christmas, that's for sure. But yeah, I was counting down the days. But I met some really great people over in Switzerland that kind of just welcomed me into their family. And my teammates were great. The food was great. The weather was great. So it wasn't like I was in some podunk town in Russia where it's colder there than Minnesota. I had a great time. I had a little car, learned how to drive a stick shift, and I was going around the mountains, and I was going to Lake Como, Italy, and I was going to Lake Lugano. Wow. And it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. So I soaked it up. And at the end of the year, it was really hard going home because I had really made some really good relationships that I still have to this day. So I don't think I was too homesick. And my family did end up coming at the end of the year. So they were able to come over, see me play a couple games and see a little bit of Switzerland. So
that's cool. Yeah. Wait, did you play against any Russian teams back then?
I've never played against a Russian team.
Oh, okay. But speaking of Russia, we obviously have Brittany Griner, who's been there for going on 5 months. And so you sort of know the lay of the land out there, even if you didn't play, against Russian teams. And, obviously Diana Taurasi, and others have played there. But what can you tell people about playing overseas and maybe even women who are thinking about playing overseas, about what to look for and, what parts of the world are the best places to go professionally? Because, that was your only year in Switzerland, right?
That was my only year. Yep.
Yeah.
The rest of the other 13 years have been in Spain.
Amazing. Yeah. And my best friend, who's an assistant coach at Kansas State, who Barb knows as well, Stacy, she played in Barcelona for a year before, she decided to start coaching. So, that's obviously beautiful place to be. That's
Yeah.
why you never
Yeah.
left.
Yeah.
But tell everyone about how it was, and did you ever get invited to any WNBA training camps? Tell everyone about your professional experience besides Switzerland.
Well, like you mentioned in my introduction, I have a podcast.
Yeah.
And so I've done quite a few interviews with a lot of different athletes, mostly basketball, men's and women's. And so I've heard stories about Russia and I've heard stories about other countries. When you are looking to play overseas, now you have a lot more information because you've got social
Right.
media. So you can do your research and kind of reach out and ask questions and whatnot. But I didn't necessarily have that when I was starting out. And I don't know if it was just luck or if it's my personality and the way that I kind of look at life, but I really haven't had a bad experience. All my teams have paid me on time.
Wow.
Flights, coaches. I mean, I've had some bad coaches here and there, but for the most part, my experience has been very, I don't know if pleasant is the word, but it's been great. But I think that when you do go overseas as an American, especially after coming from a Division I university where you have these fantastic resources, and you go overseas and the resources are not majority of places, unless you're like top notch, the resources are not going to be what you're used to over in your Division I gym, weight room, whatever.
Right.
So you got to go over with an open mind and just understand that it's going to be different. That doesn't mean it's better or worse. It's just going to be different. And some people think that, in the United States, we do everything the best. Well, they do a lot of good things in Europe that are different, but it works. And I just think you need to be open to trying, to listening, to saying, okay, coach, and just doing what's asked of you. And that goes a long way. People will respect you. People will want you to be a part of their team. People will want to sign you the next year. I just be a sponge and just try to, soak it all up and improve. And if you have time on your own and the gym is open, go for it and go work on whatever you want to work on. But when you're in practice, I think it's important to just be respectful and try to do what you're being asked to do, even though it's different from maybe what you did in college. But at the same time, if you switch teams every year as a professional, you're going to have new coaches every year asking you to do new things. So it's just, you just got to go with it. And I would also say to a lot of players, because some people just go overseas and they stay in their room all day, every day, or they stay up until 6, 7 o'clock in the morning talking to their people back home.
Right.
And I would say, try to get out, socialize, take your car if you have one, or if there's good public transportation, go see the city, go to restaurants. If you have a long weekend, look to go and visit Paris, look to go and visit Lisbon, look to go and visit Munich, Germany. I mean, it is such an opportunity to be over in Europe. Take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you're old school, not only in terms of your footwork, but in terms of your respect. There's a lot of pushback now with players. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's crossing the line. We would say as sort of old school, but you have to evolve also as a coach. So did you find that your coaches, as you got later in your career, asked your opinion and wanted to know what you thought about either film or strategy, things like that? Or were you just basically the sponge and, they were the ones that were giving you your instructions and your assignments and that was it?
I think definitely you kind of have to earn that respect first to be able to have an opinion and speak up. And I think if you show with your actions first and then gain that respect, they will listen to you afterwards if you're willing to put in the work. So as a veteran in my later years, I would speak up more often. I would tell my coaches, like, I'm more comfortable here. I need this, I need that, as well as with my teammates, but always with a good tone and picking your moments during practice, because you don't always want to just interrupt the practice. You might have to talk after practice. But
Right.
but I always had that mentality of I still don't know it all and I can still learn. So I think it was a balance between the two. As a veteran, you definitely have more of a green light to make comments and observations. And because I had been in Spain for 13 years, people know who I am. They respect my work ethic. They respect who I am as a person. And so having that dialogue was never a problem.
And so you had dual citizenship?
I am because I'm married to a Spaniard and we got married here in Spain, I automatically count as what they call a comunitaria. So I do not count as an American.
Right, that's what I was asking.
However, this past year playing in Euro Cup, when we would go to different countries, then I did count as an American. So,
wow.
Yeah. So if I played just within Spain, I was comunitaria. We had 2 other Americans on our team. But I do not have dual citizenship, and I don't think I can have dual citizenship. The United States has different agreements with different countries.
Yeah, right.
And I think I would have to renounce my American citizenship to then become a full-blown Spanish citizen.
Interesting. So did you ever think about coming and playing ball back here in the States, or you just enjoyed it too much and were doing really well?
I mean, I would have loved a chance at the WNBA, but I was never asked,
Wow,
so,
really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a 6-foot post player. I don't really jump that high.
Well, neither did Bill Lambier and a lot of the women's players. It was more, but you stayed traditional in terms of your post play.
Yeah, until my not this past year, but the year before that, I finally said to heck with it, and I started shooting the 3. And I was shooting almost 50% from 3 because either people were sagging off me because they weren't ready, they weren't expecting it. And I don't know, I just thought, you know what, my career's coming to an end. I'm gonna go out and I'm just gonna do it. Who cares? F it. And I shot really well.
Wow.
What was that? So not this past season, but the season before. And so I finally did start becoming more of a stretch 4 player.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And it opens your game. I'm like, why didn't I do this before?
Oh man, that's amazing. So after you give birth, which is supposed to be this week or next week, you don't necessarily want to play anymore. You want to have a family.
People ask me that question constantly, and right now my mind is not even thinking about the next step. But because I'm 36 years old, if I was Nafisa Collier, she's how old? 20 something.
Right.
Then I would probably be like, yeah, I'm going to get back into it. But at 36, I'm really not sure. Especially if I want to have more than one child.
Right.
It's just tough, and to get back to that physical shape at the top level here in Spain, because Spain's Liga Femenina Endesa is like one of the most competitive leagues in all of Europe. And we've got like 3 EuroLeague teams in our conference, in our league. And it's really tough. So I know I could always probably go back and practice with the team and have a spot if I want it, but we'll just have to cross that bridge when it comes.
Well, yeah, if Diana and Sue can do it, you definitely could do it, right? They were born in 80 versus 86 for you. So, I mean, there's, and it's just like you said, you'll see where the road takes you, and there'll be opportunities if you definitely want to come back as a veteran.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that I will want to get back in shape.
Yeah, of course.
Just kind of depends, schedule wise, practicing, daycare, my husband's schedule.
Yes.
There's a lot that goes into it. So we shall see, but I'll definitely stick close to the game. No doubt.
Yeah, that's cool. So what have you learned from the podcast? Why did you start that? And tell everyone about that.
Well, I've always enjoyed podcasts, listening to them while I'm cooking, cleaning. They're just entertaining. Yeah. And so I always kind of thought in the back of my mind, like, Leslie, why don't you do one? Because I was a communications major in college. I've always enjoyed asking questions, you too, and just listening to people's stories. So I had it in the back of my mind, and I was kind of trying to think like, well, what would be the base And then a teammate of mine, when I was playing in Zaragoza, her name is Paulina Hersler. She plays for the Swedish national team. She started one the same year. We were talking about it, and she started one. And I was like, well, dang, if Paulina's going to do one, then I got to get my butt in gear and I got to start mine. So I was always really interested in academics, because a lot of European players, if they don't go over to the States, it's hard for them to balance academics and athletics in Europe because they don't go hand in hand. Like, your coach could care less about your college degree, and your college professors could care less about your basketball practice or your basketball game, because the two aren't connected.
Yeah.
And so I have teammates that are 28, 30, 34 years old, and they're still studying to get their degree.
Wow.
And I always thought that was just crazy, you know?
That is.
So I just started a season called Another Season in the Books, with a double meaning of, another season studying and then another season coming on. And so we talk about athletics and academics, but then we talk about a little bit of everything. So it's just a good excuse to have a good conversation. And I've really enjoyed it. It's an absolute pleasure. And besides that, I also do a little radio show here in Spain called Duck on a Rock, which I don't know if that sounds familiar to you at all. Duck on a Rock.
I haven't heard that phrase.
And where it comes from. People say that you get pregnancy memory, like you just start forgetting things.
Pregnancy brain. Yeah.
Pregnancy brain.
Yeah.
The founder of basketball, his name is
James Naismith.
When he was a young boy, they would have this rock, and then they would have these little rocks that they would put on top of it, and they would stand in a circle, and they would each have their own little rock, and they would try to hit the little rock. And so duck on a rock. Like, oh wow. Yeah. So that's why I call the radio show Duck on a Rock. And I just talk about basketball and interview people and referees or physical therapists or strength and conditioning coaches, whoever. So it's just been fun, and I enjoy it, and why not?
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. Do you want to touch on anything with regards to mental health, social injustice? You talked a little bit about leadership, but either one of those two things, because that's a big part of our show, especially during the 50th anniversary of Title IX.
Yeah, mental health, I mean, it's becoming more and more of a common topic of conversation, which I think is great. My teammate this past year, Nadia Fingal, who graduated from Stanford, she's kind of working for a company, and they're promoting lots of different things, but mental health is kind of one of them. And I just think we really need to take it seriously. And if you are not feeling good, it's okay to go get help. College is tough. Being overseas is tough. You're away from your family. The time difference, the time zone change, like you might spend half of your day and your family is still asleep and you have nobody to talk to in the morning, and so I just think it's really important to take care of that. I mean, we talk about, like, you go to the dentist for your teeth, you go to the physical therapist for your muscles and your tendons. Well, we gotta take care of our brains and our emotional side of things, and that means going to a therapist or going to a psychologist, just talking with someone. So I take it seriously. I did go to a psychologist this past year, just a couple times, but it was enjoyable. And, I enjoyed talking to somebody that didn't know me, that wasn't going to judge me, that just took what I was saying for, what it was. So I highly encourage people to do that. As far as racial, social justice, me being from Minnesota, I always took pride in, like, Minnesota's very liberal. We're progressive, this and that. And then you just realize that no, that racism is everywhere. And people would ask me about it. It was like, dang, now people are knowing me because I'm from Minnesota, and now they know about George Floyd. It was like, I don't want to say it's embarrassing, but it's like, man, I was so proud to be from Minnesota before, and now I just feel like it was tough. It was tough to go through that. And I just think we all need to be more conscientious about how we treat people, what we think about people, as an athlete, I feel extremely blessed because I have lived with so many different people over the last 14 years,
Right.
shared apartments with people from all over the world, whether it was the Congo, Australia, Serbia, Georgia, Canada, Argentina. I mean, I've lived with people from all over, whether they're Muslim, whether they're Christian, lesbian,
Wow.
like just everything. And
Right.
and you share your meals together, you shower together in the locker room, you go on trips together, you meet their families because they're talking on FaceTime, and so you get to know their families.
Right. Yeah.
And their families come visit, and then you're meeting their family, and it's like we're all so much more similar than we think we are. And how many people in their day-to-day job get to really know somebody that's different than them?
Right.
And here I am living with that person on a day-to-day and working with them. So I don't know. I feel really blessed to have met everybody that I have met over the last 14 years and to be able to call them my friends. I wish there was a little bit more of that in the world, but the number of people that probably go about their day to day without seeing or interacting with somebody that's a different color than them, or a different religious background, or a different like sexual orientation. The majority of people probably.
Yeah, and to think that they would even understand a lot of this stuff is unrealistic. And, sports has always been the great equalizer, and how we could learn so much from what sports is about, putting differences aside for the greater good, self-sacrifice. And, like you said, what's in a locker room, is representative of, what America is supposed to be like, or things globally, internationally. And just to respect people. And so that's the biggest issue I see now versus just different views is mis and disinformation being disseminated. And I just had a discussion with Bruce Maxwell. He was the first Major League Baseball player to kneel the year after Colin Kaepernick did. And, that was the thing that we talked about was as a baseball player, there's an unwritten rule. If you hit a home run and you trot around the bases in a way where it's showing up the pitcher, the next batter is going to get hit. It's an unwritten rule. You're going to get hit, but you're not supposed to throw at their head. You're supposed to throw at their ribs or their arm or their rear end. And so now we've gotten to a point in life, whether it's in the United States in Congress or with the Supreme Court or, in our day-to-day lives, where we're throwing at each other's heads. There's unwritten rules in all sports. We're just going way past those unwritten rules. And it's unfortunate because you can have a different opinion, but yeah, what's being disseminated is just, I've never seen anything like it. It's just amazing.
Yeah. And I have this conversation a lot, even with my own husband, because he's from Spain, and racism is just, I think it's different over here in Europe. They don't have the same history as the United States does. And I have talked with a lot of my teammates over the years of color, and every single one of them has experienced racism on some degree, whether,
Crazy.
and just how their parents raised them, the conversations that their parents had to have with them about certain things, like when you get your license, don't drive over here, make sure you drive on this side of the city or whatever. And it just makes, me sitting there, I just can't help but think, wow, I never had a conversation like that with my parents, ever, and it's just for people to think that it doesn't exist or that it's not that big of a deal. It's like, how many conversations have you had? And how is it possible that every single person of color has felt a certain way at some point in their life? Like, it exists, and some of us are just so privileged to be a certain color that we don't even, you don't have those experiences ever, and just because you're a different color, like something you cannot control. And for people to think that they have a right just because they were born white, you didn't do anything to be born into the family you were born into or to be the color that you are. I mean, you had no hand in that. And
Well,
and you
I,
think you're better than the other person?
and I would argue that all of us have a little bit of black in us if you actually look at the history of people. So
Oh, for
there's that
sure.
also.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing. Yeah, the whole privilege conversation is, something that's not in sort of the mainstream of America, and they're just privileged, like you said. And I talk about being anti-racist all the time. You and I are allies in a way that most white Americans and white people around the world are not. Um, sometimes to no fault of their own. But I've gotten a lot of messages from people saying, "Hey, I'm a diehard Republican. I'm on the other side. This is not the Republican Party that we used to, love and know." But I agree with everything that you're saying, and we got to get back to basics. So that, there are a lot of people I think that are sick and tired of the way things are going, and hopefully, I don't know, we'll see. Man, it's different times. That's for
Yeah.
doggone sure. But we just start with the little corners in our own homes and work our way up from there and teach the kids, because I think Gen Z is definitely not afraid to speak out, and a lot of people pave the way for people to speak out, especially the women of the W, people of color. But we need more white allies like you and I.
Yeah. The W is a great role
Man.
model for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get to the rapid fire, because I know you got to get some shut eye there. You got your little wedge. Do you sleep with the wedge there on your side?
I never thought I would sleep with so many pillows. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's crazy. I have one of those it's like a half moon and
Oh yeah.
then
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
pregnancy pillow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those things they help big time. Okay. Did you ski when you were in Switzerland?
I never went skiing because it was
Wow.
against my contract, but I did go
Oh, right.
snowshoeing.
Oh, nice. That's fun.
Yeah.
So, favorite part about living in Spain besides your husband?
Gosh, I could say the food or just the variety of landscapes,
Yeah, amazing.
mountains, ocean. It's
Yeah.
it's fabulous.
What's your favorite food there?
I like everything.
Nice. You're a
My
foodie. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I eat everything. My mother-in-law, she makes a really good bacalao codfish.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, it's delicious.
I love codfish. What do you miss most about the States?
Uh, maybe punctuality,
Coffee or tea?
coffee.
Mm. Wait, like a Starbucks kind of coffee? Are you a Starbucks person?
No,
No.
Starbucks is too expensive. I
Oh
mean,
my
I'm just
God.
like, I if I just get a normal coffee, like you can
Yeah.
just go to any bar here in Spain and get a coffee for €2 or less.
Nice.
Or a cappuccino, those are
Mm-hmm.
fun too. But I really don't drink too much caffeine. I usually go just for the decaf.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a coffee machine here that grinds up the
Nice.
the beans and whatnot. And I like coffee, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So, two Minnesotans, Judy Garland from The Wizard of Oz or Winona Ryder from Little Women. Which one?
Wizard of Oz.
Judy Garland. Okay, fair enough.
Sure,
Wait, so
yeah.
tater tots or French fries?
Oh, well, Minnesota, don't you know our tater tots? I'll go with tater tots.
Oh, I love it. Favorite TV show growing up?
Man, I was a big fan of TGIF. Thank goodness it's Friday.
Right.
And so there was Family Matters, Steve
Yeah.
Urkel.
Right.
He was great. Or The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will Smith.
Of
Those were
course.
probably two of my go-tos. And then because I'm an old soul, I loved the Matlock or Murder She Wrote, or the Golden Girls.
Well, yeah, the Golden Girls were classic, of course. That's awesome. Favorite movie of all time?
When I was little, I would tell you The Sandlot.
Well, especially because your brothers were baseball players, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you probably appreciated baseball differently back then.
Yep.
So what's your favorite go-to move in the post with your back to the basket?
I was always a big fan of the spin move baseline and then just finishing with a reverse layup. That was one of my favorites. Otherwise, just a fake middle turn to the baseline jump shot
Yeah.
Seemed to work well for me.
Yeah, little Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant there.
Yeah. And then, if they go for the jump shot, you counter that and you go for your up and under. And
right.
In college, that was great because the scout guys that we practiced against, all they would like to do is shot block.
Exactly.
So
They went for it every time.
I had them flying all the time. It was great.
That's phenomenal. Wait, who's your favorite women's player of all time?
Ooh, of all time. I look at the post players probably more than I do the guards, but someone like Emma Misaman for the Chicago Sky, I really like watching her play. Elena Deladon, I have heard some really great things about her from the people that I've interviewed in my podcast. And her Instagram is just so like personable, and she just seems so humble and down to earth, and just, you know, she doesn't give off that air that she feels like she's better than everyone else. And so I would say maybe those two, Emma Misaman and Deladon. But Aja Wilson, her post game is like I gotta shout out to her and say that I really respect her game as well.
Yeah, she's amazing. Well, and she's come out and talked about mental health as well. So she's, you know, added a lot of layers to the WNBA and visibility and being a voice for a lot of people that, you know, were afraid to speak out about it. And Elena, you know, she came from really humble beginnings because of her sister and, you know, transferring from UConn to Delaware. And so, she, you know, she understood things about life early on. So I think she's been humble ever since. Yeah, but I love Elena Deladon, man. And what she's done to come back from her injuries, man, she's worked and changed her whole workout routines and strengthened her body in a way that she never thought she had to as you get older, as you know. And man, it's been amazing to watch her evolution. Okay, last question. If you could have any 5 people at your dinner table, past or present, dead or alive, but you've never met them before, who would be at your dinner table?
I should have prepared this because I listened to your podcast today. And of course he's going to ask you this, Leslie. People that I've never met or know.
Dead or alive. Now, everybody always says I should ask that at the beginning and say, hey, I'm going to ask you this question at the end. So prepare for it and think about it while we're talking. I always wait until the end.
I should have made my list earlier today because now I'm going to be kind of at a blank.
Do you have a favorite men's player that you used to watch or followed then or now?
Well, like someone like Nowitzki, I wouldn't mind sitting down talking with him, or even Tim Duncan. Just because Tim, he was so just
unassuming,
all the time, like didn't show much emotion, but
silent killer.
Got the job done. So those guys. On the women's side,
well, it doesn't have to be sports necessarily.
It doesn't have to be sports. It could be whatever. Yeah. Amelia Earhart, pilot. That would be interesting to talk to her. Michelle Obama, I wouldn't mind, hearing what it's really like to be married to the president and just how that affects your marriage, your family.
And they had some tough times. They've talked about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, she's just amazing in her own right. Her and Hillary. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's 4.
Is that 4? Okay. I should list somebody like some historical figure, like maybe Angela Merkel, the Prime Minister of Germany, or the former Prime Minister.
That's awesome. So any questions you have for me about parenting or anything else? I'll give you one shot to ask me either a rapid fire for me or anything I can answer for you. Or any future guests that you feel like would be a good fit for, our format
for the pod.
Yeah.
You've coached at the junior college level. Was it always at the junior college? You did 15 years men's, 15 years women, 15 years.
Yeah. I coached junior college ball, small college ball back east, D3 ball. And, I've coached a number of professionals, coaching somebody in Spain right now. I can't remember the team she plays on, but she was like you. I had her on my podcast, didn't learn how to shoot, how to handle stress. She was just an overachiever. And I've tried to give her, my best advice on changing her shot, because I'm a shot expert as well, besides a skills trainer. And so it's been fun to, give her, some advice. And there's a guy in TBL, the basketball league, which is one level below the G League. And I helped him with his shot. I mean, his shit was all over the place. Like rhythmically, it was just, it's amazing how players can go that long and have such broken handles, broken counter moves, bad decisions, bad shots. And so
or not use their left hand.
I use their left hand, their non-dominant hand. Yeah. So, but yeah, so I've done a little bit of everything.
How long ago did you start the podcast?
Right after George was taken from us. I just
Okay.
and we pivoted originally with my original co-host. I just was like, I can't talk about something that's irrelevant, and an hour and a half later, because we were just talking, smack and just shooting the shit, and I was just like, we got to be better allies, otherwise we're just as complicit as anybody else. So, and I use some of my contacts, and it's just, and I DM a lot of people on Instagram. A lot of them answer, and you can tell if someone views your message. So even if they don't answer, you can say, hey, thanks for checking out my message. And then, you just talk about whatever you think that person knows and might resonate with them. And if they want to come on, they come. I'm trying to get Mahmoud Abdul Rauf on the show, and he was Steph Curry before Steph Curry in the 90s. And he was the one that was whiteballed by the NBA and David Stern for protesting social injustice back in the 90s that not everybody knows about. And there are documentaries coming out soon on Showtime about him that's going to be epic. And so I know his business partner, who was also on the show, Brian Adams, who's a professional basketball skills trainer himself, and just had the first HBC women's player drafted in the WNBA, which hasn't happened, I don't think either ever or for a really long time. And he's just a phenomenal guy and phenomenal trainer. So that's what I enjoy the most. I enjoy just pouring back into, especially women. And women's players, helping them with their shot, counter moves, skills training, and just helping them handle stress management.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, because just today I was talking to my husband about something similar, and it was like, as women, we need to step up and we need to work for equality. But at the same time, it's nice to have men also, in that fight. And
right.
That's the same thing with whether it's gay rights or whether it's Black Lives Matter. It's like, yes, that community needs to fight for themselves and work but it's nice to have support, like you can't do it without the support of other people. So I appreciate what you're doing, and thank you for being an ally as far as promoting women.
Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, when I heard James Wade's story, the coach of the Chicago Sky, and how Dan Hughes, took a chance on him when he was coaching Edwidge in France, who was playing both overseas and in the WNBA, and thought he would be a great coach. And here's a white, older gentleman, older than me, reaching out to a person of color. And now James Wade is, the reigning WNBA champ coach. And he wouldn't have had that chance if it wasn't for a white ally, and so we need those kinds of allies in all those spaces that you talked about, and that's why I like doing what I'm doing. Maybe one day I'll get paid, whatever, but between TikTok and all social media and the podcast, I mean, I've probably put in 2,000 hours and haven't got paid a dime, and I don't care. And because then it's sort of like that D3 basketball experience where it's pure, and you don't have any hidden agendas, and you're just, like you said, an unapologetic ally. And we just need more of that. And if nothing else, we need more education for white people. I mean, the reality is white men still run the country, probably the world, to be honest with you, with few exceptions.
Yep.
So it's most important that white men step up and be allies, and be anti-racist if you're capable of, taking it to that level.
Exactly.
Well, hey, I hope you're not labor too long. Are you gonna have some? Are you gonna have medication, or are you doing it? Without medication, or?
Oh, natural.
Natural, yeah.
Well, as of right now, I mean, because it's the first time you're going through this, so it's like you kind of wonder, how painful is it really going to be? But because I'm 36, a lot of my friends have already been through this, and a couple of them have done it without the epidural. The majority get the epidural. Yeah. So I think every woman has a different experience, and so much also rides on the position of the baby. If it's in a good position to come out cleanly, smoothly, but if it's not in that good position, then so I'm assuming that I'll try to tough it out as long as I can,
Wow.
and then get that. I'll probably get the epidural at the end of the day. But you think about all the women, like my mom and my grandmother, and
Right.
all those women, they just bit the bullet. They didn't have any of that stuff.
Oh my
But
goodness.
my husband, I don't know if to make me feel better or what, but he's like, Leslie, do you know how many years of research those people spent in creating and discovering the epidurals? If you don't take it, you're disrespecting
Oh
all of
my
their hard
God.
work.
Oh my God. There's a different perspective.
So, I mean, we'll see. I'm curious to see what the pain is like, but then I'm assuming I'll probably cave and get the epidural at some point. We'll see. But yeah, next week is week 39 of 40, and
Amazing.
it'll happen sooner or later. I mean, this baby's got to come out one way or another. So,
Right. Well, can't wait to hear all about it, and enjoy the first few weeks, because it's, amazing bonding time. And we'll see you back on the air, and maybe we'll co-host together down the road. That would be fun. I think we'd be a good team to, mix it up with some different guests, and maybe, you could come on with people from different sports, because obviously I do all kinds of sports. I do influencers, Olympians, NFL, Major League Baseball,
I know
everything. Yeah, so that would
you're
be fun.
you're you're setting the bar real high. I mean, you've had some goats on your podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I was really nervous early on. There's still some that I get nervous for if they were to come on, but yeah, it's just about keeping the conversation going. If you educate a few people, with every show, then that's all we can do, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I'll
Okay.
definitely
Yeah,
tell
consider it.
my tribe that hey, check this podcast out.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, likewise. We'll definitely pump yours, and I'm sure you'll take some time off, but look forward to getting some more guests on and listening to them. Especially, I love the basketball interviews, because they're always so authentic, and they're not afraid to say, what's on their mind, and talk about real issues and stuff like that, like we did today. So it's awesome stuff. Congratulations on your career, and soon to be mom, and mad props to your husband. And, his life's going to change, obviously, also.
I mean, it's the first time for both of us, but he's never changed a diaper.
Oh, you got to
So
film that. You got to film that.
it's gonna be interesting, but he's gonna do a great job.
That's phenomenal. All right. Well, good luck. Best of health, and enjoy the entire experience. And I'm happy for you guys. And we'll definitely stay in touch and catch up soon. Much love to you both. And wait, have you named do you know anything about it, or?
Surprise.
Oh,
We
wow.
we didn't want to know the gender, so
Wait, stand up for a second. I'm always good at guessing.
are you serious?
I'm dead serious. It's a boy.
You think it's a boy?
Yeah. Girls are wider. Boys are a
Wider?
little bit more, like bowling ballish, and the girls are a little bit wider. So wait, you have names for
Well,
both though, right?
we have names for both, which was not easy because
Ooh,
between Spanish culture and American
right.
culture, pronunciation,
Whew.
it hasn't been easy. But it's funny you say that because everybody has an opinion, and here in Spain, people don't really like. A lot of people tell you what they think, even if they don't know you. And so whenever I go to the fruit shop up the street, these women will look at me and they'll ask if I know what I'm having, and they'll all have their opinions. Or some man the other day, he told me, well, you look really beautiful. So you know what? It's a boy, because when you're pregnant with a girl, the baby girls make the moms look worse
Oh
because
my
they're just
God.
more. And I'm like,
What?
okay, whatever you say. So, and then a lot of people ask me, well, how are you preparing the baby's room? And, what about the clothes? And I just
Good
look at them
question.
like, neutral clothes, and my baby girl's going to wear blue. And if my baby boy wears pink, it's
There
no
we
big
go.
deal.
There we go.
That kind of frustrates me because I feel like society makes it okay to be a little bit more masculine,
Right.
but being a little bit more feminine isn't necessarily okay. And
Love it.
that gets me. It's like, why do we think like that? And I even catch myself thinking like that sometimes, and I'm just like, no, it's not.
Well,
Anyway.
it's learned, that's for sure.
Yep.
And we don't realize it sometimes, because then you catch yourself and you're like, ew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see if baby girl or baby boy. We'll see what whoever decides to join us in the next couple of
Wow,
weeks.
that's so exciting, man. But well, healthy. That's the most important thing for both mom and baby and dad.
Amen.
All right. Sounds good. We'll talk soon. Be good. Continued good health and happiness, and mad props to your parents and your brothers, and your coaches. Coaches were very influential in my life. And if more people thought like you, this world would be a better place. That is real talk right there. No, seriously. Yeah. So keep doing what you're doing. It's amazing. Thanks for joining us. All right. Talk soon. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for joining us. Boy, that was phenomenal. Great job, and much love to everyone. Remember, Black Lives Matter. Stop the bullying. Stop the Asian hate. Contact your local and state politicians for any inequalities, for any individual or any group that's being marginalized. Also, everyone, we want to raise awareness for those individuals that are currently imprisoned for non-violent offenses, in particular those with long-term sentences that are disproportionate, in particular to those people in the Black and brown community. And I want to send a shout out to 40tons.co. 40 Tons is a socially conscious cannabis brand, and they're a social enterprise using the regulated cannabis industry to fight injustice, in particular for cannabis prisoners. So check them out again at 40, the number 4, the number 0, tons, plural, 40tons.co, because what they're doing in the cannabis space and being a socially conscious company is truly incredible, and they have my full support. And also wanted to remind all of you, if you're having a tough time, you can always call the Suicide Prevention Lifeline, and that number is 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255, and they are available 24/7, 365 days a year. You can also always check me out on Twitter, Instagram, and on TikTok at Mike Hootner. Thanks again to our amazing sponsors, Breaking Tea, Sport RX, PSK Collective, City Lokes, and Moolah Kicks, which you can see right here up on the screen. You can search them online at breakingtea.com, sportrx.com, pskcollective.com, moolahkicks.com, and citylokes.com. And if you'd like to support us at the Sports Deli, we'd love to have you either make a one-time donation or feel free to make a donation monthly, either 99 cents a month, $4.99 a month, or $9.99 a month. If you have questions about that, send me an email again to thesportsdeli@gmail.com, and I will send you the link on how you can do that. You can also find it at the bottom of every podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Link at the bottom to support the show. Please check out our website at thesportsdelipodcast.com. Make sure that we continue the conversations with regards to 3 strikes and you're out and mandatory minimums, especially people that are in jail for non-violent offenses. So those things need to change. And remember, gents and ladies, please remember to do your monthly self-breast examinations. And remember, guys, this afflicts about 1,500 men annually, with about a third of those resulting in death. So we want to make sure that we do our monthly self-breast examinations, both men and women. And guys, remember to do your self-testicular examinations every month as well. Until next time, remember, it takes a village. For Dr. J and Coach K, I'm Hootie Hoot. This has been a production of Hootie Hoot Productions. Thank you for joining us in the Sports Deli, where everyone deserves a seat at the table. Remember, it takes a village. Much love, everybody. Peace.